what do we know about what's actually happening behind the scenes?
Good morning, Vani. Well, conflicting statements yet again between Iran and the United States is what we know. You just mentioned what President Trump has said, told reporters in the White House yesterday, that decapitation line. He also said that the Iranian leadership is unbelievably duplicitous, along with many other things that he said about the state of the negotiations. He still maintains that negotiations between the U.S. and Iran are ongoing. Now, from the Iranian side, we heard from the foreign ministry, Vani, that active discussions between Iran and the U.S. are actually not happening. Iran has maintained the line again that it will send delegates, it will send mediators to send messages on its behalf, but its top negotiators are not having any discussions with the United States. Meanwhile, other negotiations are going on. We are aware of them. We reported them last week. They're happening into the beginning of this week, and those are between Iran and Oman. And that's really to open up a pathway, if you were, in the Strait of Hormuz, a middle passageway to help ships and vessels start to make their way through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, we don't know what exactly the talks entail or what exactly the mechanisms are to open up the Strait of Hormuz, but what we understand is that both are in discussions to either demine the Strait of Hormuz and help ships take this pathway that was not really open to ships throughout the course of this war. As you know, Iran has been asking ships and vessels to stick to a route that it had laid out, which is closest to its borders on the northern side of the Strait of Hormuz. Any other pathway leaves ships and vessels open to the risk of being attacked. And even into the early hours of this morning or overnight, Vani, ships were getting attacked in the Strait of Hormuz. Of course, this is all happening while the U.S. maintains its naval blockade on Iranian ports. And so we're watching the whole space. We're watching what negotiations is President Trump, in fact, referring to, and whether those are happening or about to happen. He maintains they did happen despite the Iranian denial. Iran says no chance those are happening, that the mediators will be involved. We haven't heard from either Pakistan or Qatar. We know that President Trump said that Saudi Arabia's Mohammed bin Salman had reached out to him and said and pleaded that a return to diplomacy was the choice here, the best choice here, and that attacks are not favorable to countries in the region, that is the GCC.